Hi everyone, myself Piali. Today's our topic is human settlement from class 12 geography. Before we start this chapter, at first we have to know what do you mean by that human settlement and how it's emerged. So that first question is that what do you mean by settlement? So human settlement refers to the cluster or group of human houses. The early livelihood people build houses and other structure and make their control over some areas and resources. The process of settlement involves gathering of peoples, building house, controlling a specific territory for resource base, that is known as that human settlement. Another way we can say that a settlement is a place where people live. Settlement can be as small as a single house in a remote area or as large as a mega city. Okay, a settlement may be permanent or temporary. So what do you mean by that permanent settlement? Permanent settlement means that people build home to live in and occupy them for a larger period of time, that is known as a permanent settlement. Okay, and temporary settlement means that where the peoples live for that few months or that few years. So an example of the temporary settlement is a refugee camp. However, a temporary settlement may become that permanent over time. Question is that how that settlement emerge. So when the temporary settlement is going to that permanent, that is known as that emerge of that settlement. Okay, this settlement bound by a common culture or religion based. Depending on the nature of the environment and the needs of the people, settlements of different types evolves. Settlement can be temporary or permanent. Previously, we declared that things. The question is arise that settlement structure. That settlement structure is maybe that circular settlement, linear, radial settlement. What do you mean by circular settlement? Settlement built around the pond or reservoirs are called the circular settlement. It looks like a circle. For that reason, it is known as a circular settlement. Second is that linear settlement. Linear settlement built along a road or along a railway track are called linear settlement. Okay, it's look like a line. For that reason, it is known as that linear settlement. Radial settlement. What do you mean by the radial settlement? Settlement which emerge and radiate from a central point and form a radial or star shape. That is known as that radial settlement. Okay. There is another settlement that is known as that parallel settlement. When that linear settlement, it means that when the settlement based on the two side of road or railway track, that is look like a parallelly. Okay, that is known as the parallel settlement. Now we discuss about the types of settlement. There is two types of settlement. One is that rural settlement and second is the urban settlement. Today we discuss about the rural settlement. What do you mean by that rural settlement? They are mainly smaller in size and poorly spaces. The peoples of the settlement are mainly engaged in the primary activities like agriculture, fishing, mining, etc. Okay, people surviving in hamlets and the villages. Way we can say the rural settlement are concerned with the degree of dispersions of the dwelling and the life is supported by land-based primary economic activities. Okay, so rural peoples are less mobile and therefore social relations among them are intimate. In India, the rural settlement varies with the diversity of climatic conditions in India, that is compact or clustered village of a few hundred houses in rather universal features, particularly in the northern plains. Okay. So, however, there are several areas which have other forms of rural settlement. Now we discuss about that factor determining the rural settlements. There are various types of factors. One is that physical factors, second is that cultural and ethnic factors, and third is that security factor. What do you mean physical factors? Physical factor means that including nature of terrain, altitude, climate, and availability of that water. Second is that culture and that ethnic factor. It means that social structure, caste, and religions. Security means that the including defense against the theft and that robberies. Okay. So there is a factor determining that rural settlements is that physical features, second is that cultural ethnic factors, and third is that security factors. Based on these factors, the rural settlements are divided into four parts. One is that cluster, it means that compact settlement, second is the semi-cluster or the semi-compact settlement, third is that hamlet settlement, and fourth is that dispersed settlement. Now that question is asked, what do you mean by that clustered or that compact settlement? So that cluster settlement is that the house in the settlement are closely spaced or have no space between houses. Okay. The living place is distinct and separated from the surrounding farms, barren and pasture. You can see this picture that cluster settlements that houses is too close with each other. Okay. These types of cluster settlement is look like a rectangular, radials, linears, etc. Okay. The example of this settlement we can see in the Bundelkhand, Nagaland, that people live in these types of settlement. Okay. Second types of that settlement is the semi-cluster or the semi-compact settlement. These types of settlement may result from the tendency of that clustering in a restricted area of dispersed settlement. More often, such a pattern may also result from the segregations or fragmentations of a large compact village. This is the picture of that semi-clustered settlement. It means that between the two houses, space is much more than that compared than cluster. Okay, now we discuss about that hamleted settlement. What do you mean by that hamleted settlement? Sometimes that settlement is fragmented into the several units physically separate from each other bearing a common name. These units are locally called Panna, Para, Palli, Nagla, etc. So this is the picture of that hamleted settlement. It means that one palli or para is separated from that another palli or para. It is based on that ethnic factors or that social factors. Okay, we can see these types of settlement in that lower or middle Ganga plains. Chhattisgarh and lower valley of this Himalayas, we can see these types of settlement, hamleted settlement. Okay, now we discuss about that dispersed settlement. So, what do you mean by the dispersed or that isolated settlement? This pattern of settlements appear in the form of isolated herds or hamleted. A few herds is remote jungles or on small hills with farms or pasture on the slopes. Okay, so extreme dispersions of the settlement is often caused by extremely fragments nature of the terrain and land resource base of habitable areas. Many areas of Meghalaya, Uttaranchal, Himachal Pradesh and Kerala have this type of settlement. So today we discuss up to that rural settlement. Next we discuss about that Armen settlement.